Am I the asshole for replacing everything my wife loses when she organizes against my will? My wife and I each have private rooms in our house. Nothing weird. No locks on the doors. They're just our own spaces. We also have areas of responsibility. She has the kitchen and I have the garage. That means when I use the kitchen to cook, I clean up and return everything to the order she's decided works best. When she uses the garage for a project, all the tools go back where they belong and she cleans up after herself. The problem is that she's a neat freak. She can't stand clutter. I, on the other hand, don't mind putting my purchases in my room to deal with later. Whether it's tools or computer parts, I'll leave them in the corner until I get to them. My personal mess does not cross the threshold of my door. My wife sees this as a personal insult. She'll go into my space and organize. And then she forgets where she put my stuff. So I've started replacing whatever it is she loses. For example, I like to wear black Carhartt coveralls when I'm working in the garage or riding my motorcycle. If I see a pair on sale, I'll buy them and put them in my closet until I wear out the ones I'm currently using. She decided that coveralls don't belong folded in the closet. Eventually I wore out the pair I was using and went into my closet for the spare set. They were gone. I asked her where they were and she couldn't remember. She checked all the closets and the laundry room but couldn't find them. So I went and bought a new pair using our fun budget. Now she's upset because she eventually found the other pair mixed in with the Christmas gifts. She buys Christmas gifts all year whenever she finds something on sale. She thinks I could have been more patient. I think she should stay out of my room. Or at the very least, not move things without making a note of where she put them. 2. Am I the asshole for deciding to stay full-time with my grandparents because I don't want to follow rules set by my dad's girlfriend? My dad has kind of shared custody with my grandparents for most of my life. He had legal custody, but they would help out by taking me for several days or even a week or two during the month. I, M17, was still close to my dad. We had our time together and he was involved. But when his work kept him late, it was easier for me to stay with my grandparents instead of getting home really late or being on my own. My dad and grandparents had basically the same household rules, and I never had an issue with them. About a year ago, my dad started dating someone new. She seems fine overall, but she has a lot of rules and is strict about things my dad never was. When my dad told me he decided to move in with her, meaning he was moving into her house, I asked him how that would work. He said I'd need to follow her rules, and she had made that very clear to him. He also said she would be enforcing the rules, and I'd basically need to treat her like she was him or my grandparents. I didn't want to follow her rules. They're very different from what I'm used to, and I think some of them are extreme. I didn't think it was fair to ask my dad to delay moving in with her, so I asked my grandparents if I could live with them full time. They said yes. My dad was upset, but he told me that if that's what I wanted, he'd make sure we still spent time together. So now I live with my grandparents, and my dad lives with his girlfriend. She's offended that I chose to live with my grandparents and that I didn't want to follow her rules. She tried to insist on some of her rules even though I don't live with her. For example, she wanted me to have dinner with her and her kids and help make the meal with them, even though my dad wouldn't usually be there. She also wanted me there every Sunday for her planned family time. I work Sundays, so that was already a no, but even on my days off I don't want to feel obligated to spend them there. She expected me to help her niece move into her new place too. She has her own kids helping. And apparently one of her rules is that you help family move and cancel any plans you have to do it. My grandparents were surprised she was trying to make me follow her rules from her house, and my dad told her to stop, which she mostly did. But she said she still finds it bratty that I would rather live apart from my dad than follow her rules. She also said I'm not showing her the respect she deserves. I told her she's not my parent and she doesn't get to demand the same kind of respect where I automatically do what she says. 3. Am I the a-hole for telling a woman she can't wear a traditional Arab/North African dress to my wedding? My husband is European and I'm Moroccan. We're getting married in a month, and we decided to have a small Western-style wedding. I love my culture, but big Moroccan weddings stress me out. The dress code is casual, because it's a small event and the decor is very cottagecore, if that makes sense. We're also having a henna party so I can still have a small Moroccan celebration. For that, I only invited my side of the family and friends, plus my husband's immediate family and closest friends. So from his side, his mother and grandmothers are coming, along with the wives and girlfriends of his 3 closest friends. There's no dress code for the henna party. My Moroccan friends will wear traditional dresses. My European guests can wear whatever they feel comfortable in. Now, there's a cousin on my husband's side who recently converted to Islam, which is fine. Good for her. She isn't invited to the henna party because she doesn't fall into the close family or close friends category. She is invited to the wedding though, and she insists on wearing a tachita. A tachita is a specific type of Moroccan dress and it's very over the top. You can look them up. They are not casual in any way. There's really no way to style one to look casual. I kindly asked her to just wear a Western dress or any dress that isn't so elaborate. She says that as a Muslim woman, I'm not respecting her religion. But in my opinion, religion and culture are not the same thing. It would be like me converting to Buddhism and then showing up everywhere wearing a kimono in situations where it's not appropriate. I know Japan doesn't have an official religion, so that's not a perfect comparison, but the point is that these Moroccan dresses are cultural, not religious. My main reason for telling her she can't wear it is that it's too over the top for a casual Western wedding. She would stand out a lot. At a Moroccan wedding, it makes sense because everyone wears their most elaborate outfits. But that's not the vibe of our event. She said that if she can't express herself freely, she won't come. I told her she's free not to attend. And again, she's not Moroccan. If an older Moroccan woman, or anyone from that culture, wanted to show up in traditional attire, I wouldn't say anything. But she's a young European woman, so I don't feel like I'm being disrespectful to anyone's culture. 4. Am I the a-hole for leaving my husband to walk 2 miles home after he refused to get back in my car after leaving an MRI scan? My husband, 45M, is claustrophobic. We've been married 18 years and together for 22. He needs a brain MRI scan because of ongoing vision issues, but he hasn't been able to complete one due to his claustrophobia. We tried twice with anxiety medication, and both times he panicked and left before finishing. After 8 months of trying to schedule a sedated MRI scan, we finally got him in this morning. He also has to be sedated for dental work, so the MRI team agreed to use the same medication his dentist uses. I explained that to him ahead of time, and he agreed. But when the MRI team started describing the medication and mentioned that he might still be awake, just very sleepy, he refused to go through with it. They called me to come pick him up. We also take care of his grandmother. I was at her house getting her ready for a quick appointment when they called. As soon as I got the call, I left and drove the 3 miles to pick him up. It took about 10 minutes. When I got there, he was nowhere to be found. I had his phone and wallet with me. He hadn't been sedated yet, so he was completely sober. I started driving around looking for him. I found him about half a mile away, walking. He was angry and started yelling at me. I yelled back because I was scared, didn't know where he was, and was frustrated after months of trying to schedule this important MRI scan. He got in the car briefly, then slammed the door and got back out. I drove around the corner and told him to get back in. I also had to get his grandmother to her appointment. He refused to get in. I tried one more time, and when he still wouldn't get in, I left. We were about 2 miles from home, and he ended up walking the rest of the way. I took his grandmother to her appointment. For context, it was a hair appointment. She goes every week, but this was the longer one for a cut and color. I dropped her off and went back home. When I got there, my husband and I got into a huge fight. He said I lied about the sedation and that I abandoned him. He said I should have kept circling around and coming back until he agreed to get in the car. 5. Am I the a-hole for calling my wife's friend's dating technique idiotic? My wife, 34F, had a few friends over for dinner, and we were all sitting around talking. One of her friends, 32F, started venting about how she can't find any good men who stick around. My wife and the others were being supportive, and the conversation kept circling back to her recent dates. At some point, she brought up what she calls her dating technique. Basically, she tries to show as little interest as possible and will even ghost guys she actually likes because she wants them to fight for her. I laughed and said that was just plain stupid. I told her of course she's not going to find any good men that way, because the only ones who would keep chasing someone who acts uninterested are the bad ones. A decent guy who respects you is going to take the hint and move on if you signal that you're not interested. I'm on the spectrum and sometimes have trouble recognizing when people are getting upset. My wife nudged me under the table and told me to stop talking. Later, after everyone left, she told me she actually agreed with what I said. She just thought I didn't need to be so blunt about it. 6. Am I the a-hole for not telling my friend my shampoo had green hair dye in it? I'm a guy with a bright green mohawk. I've had green hair for a while. I use a lot of hairspray to get it to stand up, so I have to wash my hair almost every day. That makes the green fade pretty fast, so I mix green hair dye into my shampoo and conditioner to help the color last longer. That's a pretty common thing people with dyed hair do. Anyway, one of my friends stayed over at my apartment after a show we went to because she missed her bus. In the morning, she asked if she could shower. She obviously didn't have any of her own stuff since she hadn't planned to stay the night, so I told her she could use ours. I showed her how to use the shower and told her to use my husband's shampoo and conditioner because mine was for my green hair. She said, okay. I gave her a towel, left the bathroom, and she took her shower. When she came out, I heard her gasp and scream. I asked if she was okay. She started yelling that her hair was green. Sure enough, her blonde hair had green splotches throughout it. I asked why she used my shampoo and conditioner when I told her mine was for my green hair. She said she thought I just meant it was special shampoo I didn't want to share, and that I should have specifically told her it had green dye in it. For context, the bottles are pink and opaque, but the caps are clear and stained green. The liquid inside is also green because of the dye. I told her I thought it was obvious what I meant. But even if she didn't fully understand, she should have respected my things enough not to use them after I told her not to. She didn't like that. Now she won't talk to me and is telling our other friends that I'm an asshole for not warning her about the dye. Maybe I could have been more specific, but I don't really think I'm the asshole here. 7. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister her baby isn't my responsibility? I, 27F, have a younger sister, 22F, who had a baby last year. The dad left before she was even 6 months pregnant. It was ugly. He blocked her, denied it was his, the whole thing. When she gave birth, I was there. I held her hand. I slept in that uncomfortable hospital chair. I cried when my nephew was born. I love that little boy. I really do. And maybe that's the problem. At first I stepped up because she was drowning. Postpartum hit her hard. She'd call me at 2 a.m. crying because the baby wouldn't stop screaming and she thought she was a horrible mom. I'd drive over half asleep just to hold him so she could shower or sleep for an hour. I brought groceries because she forgot to eat. I stayed overnight sometimes because she said she hadn't slept in 2 days. But somewhere along the way it stopped being "can you help?" and started being "I'm dropping him off." There was one night that still makes my chest tighten when I think about it. I had just gotten home after a 10-hour shift. I was exhausted and hadn't eaten. My phone buzzed. On my way, he's fussy. I hadn't agreed to anything. She showed up, handed me the diaper bag, kissed him, and left before I could even process what was happening. I stood there holding a screaming baby in my work clothes while she drove off to who knows where. I ate cold takeout at midnight while bouncing him on my shoulder, and I remember thinking, I didn't choose this. I've canceled plans, missed birthdays, used PTO because daycare fell through. My manager even pulled me aside once and asked if things were stable at home. Financially, I've bought diapers and formula. I paid a doctor copay once because she was short. She always says she'll pay me back. She doesn't. And every time I hesitate, my mom says, she's young. You're her big sister. Family shows up. Last week she asked if I could keep him from Friday to Sunday because she needs a mental health weekend. I said no. There was this long silence, and then she said, wow. So I guess I know who I can't rely on. That broke something in me. I said, probably harsher than I meant to, I love him. But I am not his second parent. You chose to have him. I didn't. She started crying. She said I don't understand how hard it is being a single mom. She said I'm abandoning her. Now my mom is barely talking to me. She told me that one day I'll need help too and I'll remember this. And here's the part that makes me feel like a terrible person. When I imagine stepping back completely, I feel relief. But then I think about my nephew and I feel sick, because he didn't ask for any of this. He's just a baby. I don't want to punish him. I just don't want my entire life to slowly become something I never agreed to. At the same time, I feel bad for my sister, who's going through a really hard time. Am I the a-hole for setting boundaries, even if it hurts my nephew? 8. Am I the a-hole for telling my roommate that she needs to move out before the baby comes? I don't know if I was being harsh. I was just being honest with my roommate. I, 19F, share an apartment with my roommate, Kayla, 21F. We've lived together for a year. It was my apartment first, but my aunt suggested having a roommate would be beneficial for both of us. About 2 months ago, she told me she was pregnant. I thought the situation was messy, but I congratulated her so I wouldn't be rude. I was shocked because the guy she's dating is an older married man. She said they had been seeing each other for 6 months. I believe he cut contact with her. I wanted to see what she was going to do because having a baby in this situation didn't make sense to me. She kept saying she was figuring it out. Weeks went by. She finally sat down with me and told me she's keeping the baby and wants to raise it in our apartment. I won't lie, I was upset, because this place really isn't suitable for a baby. I told her, we live in a 2-bedroom apartment. The walls are very thin. I'm in school full-time and work night shifts. She's in school to become a lawyer and won't have much time to study. The lease states that we can't have long-term guests. She said a baby isn't a guest and that she could figure it out. Then she started venting about how her boyfriend isn't answering her calls. She says she loves him. The last message he sent her said he would beat her if she came around his family. I told her to report that, but she thinks I'm trying to get him in trouble. She also can't stay with her parents because they don't approve of her having a baby out of wedlock. She said they're going to stop paying her college tuition. I think that's extreme, but it's their decision. She told me she had a plan and asked if I was willing to help her. She suggested switching rooms so she could have the bigger one. She also asked if I could help when the baby cries. I told her that if she expects that kind of help, then she needs a different roommate. She said she doesn't want to move because she feels safe with me. I told her no, because I didn't sign up to be a second caregiver for a baby. I agreed to have a roommate, not live with an infant. This apartment is not set up for a child. I told her that if she keeps the baby, she'll need to find another place before the lease renews. She started crying and said I'm horrible for wanting to kick out a pregnant woman. She said I know she can't afford her own place right now. I suggested women's shelters and other resources that could help her. Some of her mutual friends told me I'm selfish and a bad person. But if they feel that strongly, why don't they take her in? I think they just don't want to deal with it themselves. I feel like this completely changes the living situation we originally agreed to. 9. Am I the a-hole for sending my mom fake pictures of my son because she refused to stop sharing them on social media? I have a 6-year-old son. When he was born, I shared his pictures with a small group of people I trusted, including my mother. Everyone in that group knew my husband and I did not want his photos shared publicly. My mom posted them on her Facebook for everyone to see. After that, I stopped sending her pictures altogether. We live on different continents, so photos are basically the only way she can see him unless we're visiting each other. We recently had our second child. My mom begged for pictures. I made her promise not to share them. I told her I was only sending them to her and that I would know if she shared them. Instead of sending real photos, I generated a bunch of fake ones and sent those. Within a week, I found those same pictures posted on my aunt's Facebook. I called my mom and asked what the hell was going on. She said it wasn't her fault because she didn't post them. I asked how my aunt got them and she went quiet. The problem is that one of my cousins noticed the pictures were generated and pointed it out. My mom got angry that I had sent her fake photos and demanded real ones. I refused, since she clearly can't be trusted. Now this has caused drama with family and friends back home. Some think I'm being overly strict about my kids' images online. Some think I was wrong for sending fake pictures. Most understand why I did it, but a few people still think I'm being cruel to my mom. 10. Am I the a-hole for reporting my sister and taking in her kids when no one believed me? I'm a 32-year-old woman, and I have a younger sister who is 28. Growing up, she was always the favorite. She could do no wrong. If we fought, it was my fault. If she messed up, she was just sensitive. I learned early on that challenging her meant I would automatically be the bad guy. My sister has 2 kids, 8 and 5 years old. I don't have kids of my own. Over the past year I started noticing things that made me uncomfortable. Whenever my sister's kids came to my place, they would eat like they hadn't seen food in days. Not just normal growing kid hungry. I mean asking if they could take bread home in their backpacks. My niece once whispered to me that sometimes they don't get dinner because my sister sleeps a lot. I didn't want to jump to conclusions, but it kept happening. They would show up in the same clothes for multiple visits. My nephew told me they sometimes only eat cereal because it's easy. One time my niece said they hadn't eaten since Thursday night. It was Sunday afternoon. I tried bringing it up gently to my sister. She exploded. She accused me of trying to make her look bad because I supposedly can't have what she has. For the record, I've never even said I want kids. She immediately called our parents crying. Within an hour, I was getting texts saying I needed to stop attacking her. I tried talking to my parents. They said my sister is overwhelmed and that I've always been too hard on her. That comment honestly hurt. It felt like we were kids again, and I was being scolded for not protecting the golden child. But I couldn't ignore what I was seeing with my own eyes. After one weekend when the kids stayed with me, ate constantly, and my niece again said they hadn't eaten in days, I started documenting everything. I made a call for a welfare check. I didn't do it lightly. I was shaking the whole time. An investigation happened. The kids were removed temporarily. Since I was the one who stepped forward and had space for them, they were placed with me. Their dad, my sister's ex, supported the concerns. He said he had tried raising issues before but got shut down. Now my family is furious. My parents say I humiliated them and destroyed my sister's life. My sister is telling everyone I lied because I've always been jealous of her. Some relatives have stopped speaking to me. The kids have been with me for a few weeks now. They don't panic about food anymore. They don't try to hide snacks. They sleep through the night. Apparently, I'm the villain in all of this. I feel like I broke some unspoken family rule by going against the favorite child. But I honestly don't know what I was supposed to do. Just ignore it? Am I the a-hole for reporting my sister and taking in her kids? Which of these situations made you the most furious? Let me know in the comments.
Thanks for watching. If you got this far, leave a comment, like if you liked it, and follow for more.